welcome back to another episode of the Turn by Turn podcast. I am Chris, leading off today, here with Daniel again, as always. And this
Hello.
time, oh, sorry. I'm not used to leading off, but we also have a special guest with us today in Shane Kelley, who is from another Zelda podcast, also on 6.5 Media, and Boss Rush Network, where he writes some really great pieces. Hi, Shane.
Hello. Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
We're excited to have you on.
Oh, great.
So,
We're on the same page.
Yes. So today we're talking about Pokemon Unite. And I figured I would get a little bit ahead of some of the questions as well, because I can hear them now. That's not an RPG. You are right and very observant. It's still that Pokemon is an RPG franchise. And we would cover this just like we would, if Fire Emblem decided to make a first person shooter or something. We got to be there for that.
Absolutely.
So I figured we'd start off with just the idea, because the idea is very interesting. When it was first announced, I wondered how you guys felt about it, that there was going to be a Pokemon MOBA at all.
Well, I was going to say Pokemon dabbles in a lot of different genres, so why not do another one? You never know what's going to be good until you actually put it in that genre. So I think so far it's doing well.
I didn't find out about this until it was playable, and it, as someone who doesn't particularly follow too closely along with the things that Pokemon is doing, it kind of blew me out of the water that I hadn't heard about it, because it seems like kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Especially since it's our first time dabbling in this kind of thing. So utter shock, basically. I was like, okay.
I was following it since it was announced, maybe a year and a half before it came out. And my first idea was also shock, but then I was really hyped for it because my MOBA home, I actually like MOBAs. And I played League of Legends for a long time before I moved to Infinite Crisis, which is the DC Comics MOBA that is now dead. And then I moved over to Heroes of the Storm, which is now effectively dead. So I was looking for a new MOBA to call home, because all the other ones on the market just weren't quite it for me. So I was really excited.
Home or to destroy?
Oh. But I was excited by the idea because MOBAs, I think, are one of the best genres for appreciating characters, because you get a whole trailer and it's just for that one character. And then everybody gets hyped and it's all just for that one character. So I think it's great for properties that have really, really strong characters with lots of fans. And Pokemon does fit into that. Everybody wants their favorite to be announced. And it's really cool when we get tons of focus put on a Pokemon that doesn't have normally tons of focus put on them. If I look at the list real quick, so I can actually give an example. Mamoswine recently came out, and it's like, you've never seen a trailer for Mamoswine by itself before.
Yeah, I was going to say Greedent is in there now, and I would have never pictured him in any game.
Yeah.
Besides the original, so.
So at least we all thought this was a good idea. So let's get into if it actually was. I figure we just jump into gameplay, because that's the meat of what a MOBA is the gameplay. It lives and dies by that. So what do you guys think about? Let's go combat. What about flow of combat?
For a MOBA, it flows nicely. Like anyone that I have played, it's just as good or on par. It's nice to have the different Pokemon with the different move sets and different responsibilities and jobs, and it just seems to flow nicely, especially when you can't use the same character on the 5-player team. So
the one thing that stuck out to me about the gameplay was when you're moving slowly, you are really moving slowly, and it's almost kind of gives you that impression, for those of who know, when like you're driving on ice and you like start sliding and like your life passes before your eyes of like the Gengar like running up behind you and there's like literally nothing you can do but die. So that was the thing that stuck out to me. Getting those like speed boosts and like evolving into something bigger that can move a little faster felt like a very big key to this game.
Yeah, I agree. And to piggyback on that, I think evolution is one of the coolest parts of the game because it's something that other MOBAs don't do. And I get why, like, it wouldn't be very organic there. But it was something that I felt like really had to be in a Pokemon MOBA because it's just such a big part of the game. And I worried it wouldn't be because I know it's a lot of effort to model each of the characters and stuff. And then, when you're playing as a character, for some of them, like Score Bunny, you're playing as three different characters essentially with three different models and then certain skins. You've got to do it 3 times. Like it gets really crazy.
Is there I don't remember from playing it, is it possible to not evolve?
No.
You have to evolve to as you
Once
play.
once you hit a certain level, you do have to evolve, yes.
Gotcha. So I can't
Yeah.
be like a Squirtle like truther where like I only play with a like Squirtle
If
form.
if you decide not to hit anything, then you will not evolve. You won't win, but
Yes. Daniel, that's just in the game, though. If you want to be a Squirtle truther, whatever that is, outside of the game, no one can tell you no.
Well, I'm definitely that outside the game, but
So let's talk a little bit about how the game works. Not just in terms of gameplay, but in terms of mechanically how it works. Like, so for those of you that haven't played Pokemon Unite, I kind of said what games I started playing. So you should at this point. I can't imagine you're listening to this podcast and you're not quite sure what League of Legends is. But if you really don't know, MOBA is multiplayer online battle arena, and it's 2 teams of typically 5, though there's modes with 3 on a team, and you get put into a battle arena, and typically you want to destroy turrets and push down a lane as there's multiple lanes to eventually push all the way down your opponent's lane and achieve victory by destroying their base. And Pokemon's a little bit different in that aspect, in that there's no turrets and you don't destroy bases exactly. There's little hoops in the lanes, and everything you do gets you these little points you can score. All of the other smaller Pokemon that you defeat gives you these points. And if you get knocked out when you have all these points, they get dropped on the ground and the enemy team can take them. So it's important to try to score a lot, but it's really different than any other MOBA on the market. How did we feel about scoring points and goals?
well, I think it's pretty unique the way they do it, but I don't know how effective it is. I don't know how you two feel about it, but sometimes I feel like it's not natural to just go and do that. Playing other MOBAs like I was gonna say like Heroes of the Storm, I felt like that was a little more organic, going in and out of different areas and pushing your forces forward. But I guess it's a nice way to meet somewhere and try to take over a little goal, within that area. So
Here's
my
the
big
Storm. Real quick, Here's the Storm also has lots of different shifting objectives, which is
yeah.
very unique to that game, and I
Mhm.
like that a lot too. But I get what you mean, that it does feel a little bit weird that it's like, well, Charizard needs to score a basketball.
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
that's what I was just gonna say. Like I I'm like, okay, cool. Why am I doing this with Pokemon versus like other like I could be any creature slamming a basketball sort of net.
Mhm.
Why is it important that it be Pokemon as
Because Daniel, when you use a flamethrower on a regular squirrel, people get real upset.
fair? Fair.
You've witnessed a thermal event.
Yeah, people don't take kindly to that, but for some reason, Pokemon is immune unless you're PETA, then you still get upset. But
I'm thinking
yeah.
of Conquer now with a flamethrower. I don't know.
I was too. But yeah, I definitely feel kind of weird about the goals, and I'm like, where does this fit too into the Pokemon universe? Some of the other games I get a lot more, like Pokemon Snap. I'm like, oh, you're going out and taking pictures of Pokemon. That makes sense. Pokemon Ranger, I'm like, oh, you just interact with Pokemon in the same world in a different way. That makes sense. And then you see them in the other games. When Pokemon Arceus Legends, whatever it's called, comes out, I can't imagine that they're gonna, you're gonna see basketball player Cinderace
Yeah.
or anybody that's involved with this.
Mhm.
You guys have like any ideas of how they could incorporate it better or improve on that? Because
Um,
I had a thought, like, you could have like almost like what do you call it, tower Pokemon or something. Like, for example, if you scored enough points on lane 1, the top lane or something, and you and maybe like 2 other people reached 3 out of 5 for this goal or something, for your team, you would get control of the top lane with a tower Pokemon. You'd summon like Mewtwo or something, and he would shoot a Psybeam all the way down the lane, random times for a certain period of time. Or I don't know. I feel like they could incorporate something a little more goal worthy. I want to say so.
yeah, I get what you mean. Daniel, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I think thinking about changing, like altering it to feel more Pokemon-esque, sort of leads me to, when I think about Pokemon, I think of adventuring and like kind of catching, adopting animals. So I'm not sure how I could like further integrate that into like the ring, like hooping it up. Like maybe like if there were like jerseys or something. Like I know some of the characters get like top hats and like kind of
Monocles.
things you monocles and like things you wouldn't expect. Which also like leads to some questions, but like um I don't know.
Another thought is, like, you could, if you scored the goals and you get an X amount of rare candies, and you could take that rare candy to some, I don't know, maybe you have like a little deposit box somewhere and you put it in there. If you get enough of them, you can summon some Pokemon to help assist or something. I don't know.
I think you
Okay.
could change the points entirely into rare candies
Yeah.
and then just keep it a little bit more on brand with that.
I don't know. Let me just see how you feel about this because I'm not sure how much Shane knows about it. I feel like if this game were with Digimon, it would make total sense.
I don't know much about Digimon either, but
Exactly.
to me, they're like, to be fair, you could tell me if the Digimon were baking cookies, it would make far more sense. And I'd be like, absolutely. I have no idea. But I think part of it is that the setting of Pokemon Unite seems to be in sort of this VR world. Like,
Mhm.
that's sort of what I get. Like, I don't think they ever say that, but everything kind of feels like a projection. Like when you look at skins and stuff and you swap between skins, it like kind of flickers like it's all a hologram anyway. And I'm like, well, Digimon are already, digital. So it makes more sense that they would, be doing something in a digital space, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think you could explain like them being in an arena doing a thing more so than maybe it does with Pokemon, where you kind of think about them being out in the universe and you find them versus
yeah.
being one of them trapped in a like death circuit sort of idea.
Well, it
Mhm.
helps too that like Pokemon I view much more as animals. Digimon talk. All of them talk. All of them have like the ability to comprehend, and I'm sure there's a couple exceptions. But yeah, it makes more sense that I could sit down with a Digimon and be like, all right, here's the game you're gonna play and why you're gonna do that and like why you're gonna be competitive at it. Whereas
Yeah.
with Pokemon, it's like trying to explain that to my dog and having him look at me and be like, I don't put ball in hoop, why? All right. Speaking of why put the ball in hoop, one of the weirdest things about this game that still gets it seems like people have calmed down on it a bit, but it was a big talking point to start. The score is not shown during the game. At no point during the game do you ever know what your score is or what the other team's score is. You get an update on that every couple of minutes that says like we're doing really good or we're quite behind or we're really struggling. And I feel like this was done to protect little Timmy's feelings, kind of. I feel like that's why the decision was made. Do you guys agree with that? Do you feel like there's another reason?
Now that you say it, it almost is like everyone gets a participation award type thing for just showing up. It's like you kind of mask it a little so everyone feels okay how they're playing, and then at the end show it. Sort of like I think when I talked to you guys prior to this, I mentioned the Call of Duty paywall thing where you couldn't see your kills that you got, and you had to like pay for it after I think an update or something like that during the game. Otherwise, at the end you could see it.
Yeah. This is one I feel a little bit more strongly about because I'm like, it makes it like as somebody that used to play MOBAs more competitively, it makes it really hard to know what is going wrong. Like when I can't see all these stats during a game, it makes it really hard to track how I'm doing and how my teammates are doing. And I get that they're like, oh, you don't want people raging at their teammates, so we're not going to show you how they're doing. But I'm like, as far as I know, there's not any kind of chat integration where I can say anything negative to them anyway. So, and if they're doing poorly enough, I'm going to notice.
Mm-hmm.
If that Slowpoke, if I'm a Charizard at this point and Slowpoke is still level 2 in the base, when you're not awful, but you're not amazing, but you're right there about to be amazing. It hurts your ability to get just that little bit better.
Yeah. It breeds competition to do better amongst your teammates and drive the score higher, and also together work against the other team to just pummel them. So I do think it's a disservice, not entirely, but it just it feels like a disservice to the team members to not know what's going on.
I almost wonder if it's like somewhat incentivized that you don't know how you're doing. So like maybe that kind of pushes you to keep playing. Whereas like if you're like down by like 80, like 800 points, you're probably going to drop out early. But if you don't know
I
quite where you're
suppose, yeah.
at, you might kind of have like the hoop spa to hang in there in hopes that it's going to pop up like, oh, you're not too far behind. Hang in there.
I was gonna say, yeah, that it almost is like Call of Duty 2, where people drop out because they have a high death ratio, and if they know how many deaths and that they had, that maybe they'll drop out. But I don't know. I can see both sides.
But to me, hiding the score does nothing to curb any of this. Like, if we're down 200 to 1,000, I'm gonna notice. In the same way that in Call of Duty, if my death ratio is really high, I don't need a little number to tell me that. I realize that the match has been going for 10 minutes and I've spent 7 minutes dead.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to notice that.
I'm not sure the common audience is with you on that, though. I don't know. I just kind of wonder.
I feel like they are, because at the end of the day, even if you don't, if even if you're not actively thinking about it, you know that when you sit down to play a game, you realize when you're doing more sitting than playing. And I am bad at some games. Like, I'm not saying this as like I'm the tryhard and stuff. Like, I'm really bad at some games. There's times that I play competitive games and I spend a lot of time dead, and I start realizing I'm checking my phone more. I'm looking for other things to occupy my mind. I might put on something in the background to listen to because I'm just sitting here waiting for a long period of time very often. And to me, I liked what Shane had with the participation trophy thing. And it does kind of feel like that to me, but it's kind of a borked attempt at that, because to me, the participation trophy in gaming is supposed to be having fun with the game, even if you're losing. If your game is really, really fun, I find that I don't care if I'm winning or losing. I'm still having fun. And so that's what I get for participating. And then you can give like lesser rewards, like and Pokemon does do that you get coins whether you win or lose, but you get more if you win. And I'm like, I think that's good that there is at least a minimum amount of progression that is going to happen based on how you're doing.
Yeah, it basically is. You should enjoy it. It makes you happy. It's fun. Or you're forced by Team Rocket to play. I don't know, but yeah, if you're not hitting any of those check marks on your checklist, there, don't play.
And that applies to more than Pokemon Unite as well.
Yes,
you should always
any
be
game.
enjoying the game that you're playing, and if you're not, what are you doing? All right, that's about all I had for the mechanics of the game. In terms of that, I figured after that we could segue to talking about the platform it's on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the elephant in the room is that it is a MOBA game that is only on consoles and mobile phones, and that is not typical.
Mm-hmm.
Most other MOBA games are exclusive to PC, with I think Smite being the first one to jump to console, and I think that made sense for Smite. But how do you guys feel about Pokemon being on consoles and mobile phones?
I don't think it's anything new now. You know, you've got plenty of Pokemon games on mobile now, and we've always had Pokemon on Nintendo systems. So if you can unite those two, you might as well cross-platform the concept of it, and create more, diversity in the community for Pokemon games.
I think
I'm gonna just jump in real quick and ask based on that. I'm curious if you feel like there's MOBA fans that are playing this game that are then going to get into the rest of Pokemon, like because there's MOBA fans playing for sure that are not Pokemon fans.
I think it will be a gateway game for people that have not played Pokemon before. Sometimes you play something and you end up trying a whole new genre with that same lure, basically. And I've done that plenty of times with games. So,
Daniel, how do you feel about consoles and mobile phones?
So I think that when I was originally playing it, I was playing on Switch, and it just really struck me as a mobile game. So
Why?
So largely stuff we'll get into more later, but
I know where this is going.
just to outline it quick here before we get into it more later, for the sake of the point, to exaggerate a little, the 14,000 different forms of currency that you can earn.
Yes.
Being the big one.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I played in preparation of this probably like 5 to 6 hours worth of this. Some with you guys and a lot without. And I still couldn't tell you what any of the currency is and what it does.
Yeah, and I had to research all of it, and even then, I'm still fuzzy on the details.
Oh, yeah. I have a lot to say about that when we get to it. But.
Yeah, then I'll table that part for now. But a lot of the other mobile games that I play. So I play a mobile Star Wars game called Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, and it's definitely like the sort of pay to win idea, which we'll get into the pay to win Pokemon Unite stuff later. But it felt very similar to that game. So it felt weird to be playing it on Switch because getting a Switch was expensive. So like it felt weird playing like a mobile style game on my very expensive Switch.
To be fair, phones are also expensive.
That's true. But it's not an extra expense because I need a phone for my work and stuff. So yes. I have a phone for life stuff. I don't have a Switch for life stuff yet. Maybe someday if people keep listening.
That sounds like a new service for Nintendo, Switch for Life.
It does.
I'd sign up. the quality difference versus like when you like have like a console and you're getting games for it versus like a mobile style game.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they're totally like a separate circle. Like the Venn diagram exists of like great mobile games that can also function as like console games, but with Pokemon,
I would say it is a very, very small overlap.
yeah. But there's a lot of like great games that have been ported over to mobile, like Chrono Trigger and different like Final Fantasy Tactics. A lot of people love. So, but that obviously feels like a different thing than Pokemon Unite, which is kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah. What I get into with that as well is like, I think strategy and puzzle games have a much better home on mobile than anything else. I thought about playing this on my phone to prepare for this, but I ultimately was just like, I know I'm gonna hate it, so I'm just not gonna bother. Because I've played enough games on my phone that I'm like, I do not like MOBAs are extremely precise and extremely competitive. I would go so far as to say it's either the first person shooter or the MOBA that is the most competitive in terms of gaming, in terms of quick reaction time, at least. My thumbs on a small touch screen with teeny tiny buttons that I can't even feel. I'm just not going to be able to control my character nearly as well as I want to. And this adds to a lot of frustration. And it's why I don't play games on my phone very much, especially if they're not strategy or puzzle games, because I can't control stuff very well.
I was watching some reviews on it for the mobile. They did have some interesting like setting customizations for it that seemed to be better than the Switch. And they use the example of Crustle with his like barrier. You could like adjust the sensitivity of the speed of when you launch it and how far. So you can like adjust it before the game, and then you could have it go real fast, or you can have it go medium, and then you can adjust what angle it goes at and how far away, and then you can cancel it real quick, I guess, with a quick like cancel button. So I guess if you get used to it, it could be slightly faster, but with my big hands as well, I don't think it would work well. I'd need to do it on a tablet probably. So
Where I'm going with that though is it might be. I don't think that here. I'll go ahead and say this. I don't think the Switch is great for MOBAs either. I don't think consoles are great for MOBAs because something you can see still in tons of Pokemon Unite content and stuff, and that I experience a lot. And I know when we all played together, we were all experiencing is that you flick that joystick really fast in a way that you want it to go, and sometimes it ricochets and bounces back slightly to the other side, the opposite side.
Yeah.
And then you end up doing a skill shot in the exact opposite 180-degree direction from what you wanted to do it as. And that is a massive problem that there's not really a way to overcome on consoles. Like it just is not the most precise thing. So I just feel like very much like I wish I could control this with my mouse and keyboard because I can do flicks really fast. I'm not going to miss, or at least I won't miss nearly as often.
I was going to say that's why I strictly usually play real-time strategy games on PC versus console or your mobile phone. It's just something about where you can select everything a lot faster and be quicker with the mouse to get your group wherever you needed to go or build what you need to build. So
yeah, very, very much so. And like I said, I think there's some that do lend themselves to this better. I think Smite probably the best because you're not even top down. You know, you are right where you're right there with your character, given the perspective that game is from. For Pokemon, I just end up getting really frustrated with controls, even on the Switch. And I'm using a pro controller and everything. Like I feel like I have the best setup I could have. Also, with the consoles and mobile phones and stuff, I find that it was kind of a problem for me to get people to play with me. You guys both have Switches and stuff, and that's really great. But I have like tons of people from back in the Here Is the Storm days, and none of them are really picking it up because they don't want to play on Switch. And I think that has there's multiple reasons for that. I think that it is that, it's not keyboard and mouse, so that's already a disadvantage and something to get used to. But then there's also that anytime this is a bigger problem with the Switch as a whole. Anytime I want to play Switch with anyone, we immediately the first discussion that has to happen is, how are we going to do that? PC, we don't have these questions. You get on Discord or Skype or whatever, and we play the game. But Switch, it's like, all right, I'm thinking about, all right, if I'm going to play on my TV, to talk to my friends, I'm going to need my laptop now. And then I can't plug my headphones into both my Switch console and my laptop. So now I've got to balance this, and I've got to get a second chair to set my laptop on. And
I don't have Smash Brothers, but do you guys play? If you guys play Smash Brothers with other people, do you have like Discord open and you chat over that, or are you just like playing in silence?
I have Discord open, and I try to keep my laptop close to me, so that the sound on the TV doesn't bother them. But I also need it like somewhat up so I can hear what's happening. Because especially in Smash Bros, but Pokemon as well, you get sound cues to know what moves are coming, and it really helps you respond. So I need to have it loud enough for me to hear, but still quiet enough that my laptop isn't picking it up. And the whole thing is just a mess.
Yeah, the last few times I played Smash Brothers, I played on Discord or using Discord, and prior to that, we used the Nintendo mobile app. And what's very frustrating about that is the fact that when you're going from match to game or game back to the the main screen, everyone cuts out. So you can't hear anybody for like 15 seconds. Someone's talking and it just cuts out, and then it comes back, and two people came in right away, then two more people come in later, and you're missing out on the conversation. It really I guess puts a damper on the flow of it. So
Gotcha.
I've never even tried it, so I'm glad that
I don't
have
recommend it.
You can talk about it. It was another of those things, kind of like the Pokemon on mobile, that I was like, why would I do this to myself? Like, I know some people don't feel as strongly about it as I do, but I'm like, when I'm doing gaming, like I don't even take it that seriously. But I'm like, when I'm doing gaming, I don't want to be using my phone. I don't want to be using multiple machines to do things. I want to have it all in one place, and it can be done. And that's kind of the thing. Maybe I'm just spoiled, but it can be done. It can all be self-contained in one thing. You're telling me that in 2021 Nintendo can't figure out a voice chat?
Well, we just got Bluetooth, so.
Oh my gosh.
On that one.
Oh, you wound me. But yes. And then I get to some extent why, but that's also something that Pokemon being on the Switch and on the phone and stuff. And part of it's Nintendo. But I'm like, I definitely feel like in a MOBA, you really do need a chat to talk to your team.
Absolutely.
Like, and people will be butts about stuff. But it's just part of the experience to me, and you have to be able to coordinate with your team to do certain things. But then also not just in like a being a butt to somebody, but when you do something wrong, your team needs to be able to let you know that, so that you don't continuously do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Because I remember I haven't played Unite in a little bit, but when I was seriously playing, and I played multiple times a day, every day for a while, because I was trying to get really into it. I would have teammates that would like, all right, the entire team is dead except for you. What are you gonna do? And their answer is, let's go start Zapdos. And it's like, well, Zapdos is the most important mob on the entire map. And if you give away a Zapdos, it's like giving away the game. And I know there was lots of people that wanted that changed as well, because that was too much of a fact. They felt like Zapdos should be less important. And I definitely see that point. But it's kind of like when this is happening almost every game, that somebody goes and starts Zapdos and then gives it away. It's like, why are you, it feels bad not to be able to even politely just be like, hey, we really shouldn't do that right now. Like, let's wait like 2 seconds.
And I thought it was weird that some of like the canned responses, like in order to even get one of those out, you kind of have to step on the brakes for a second to open them, like the screen that lets you pick like what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then you've kind of blown whatever sort of lead you were going for just
Yeah.
to let someone know, hey, you should have done this 5 minutes ago.
It's like Shane said about momentum. It kills
Yeah.
momentum to stop, open a menu,
Yeah.
and then select a pre-written out response. And the thing that to me that there's no excuse for is there's also no positive pre-programmed responses. There
Mhm.
were times that it's like, that Charizard went in and I'm like, oh, he shouldn't be going in. It's 1v4 and he wins. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to tell that guy that was amazing. I appreciate you.
So it
I
feels
saw that
like
and there's no option.
it feels like the like someone's fumbling around with like a huge set of keys, and you're trying to find the right key so you can get
Yes.
the right response, and now you've put like a hiccup in your play trying to either help someone or congratulate someone, and it just again throws the flow off. And I feel like there should be some really like easy quick responses or something. Just
Yes. If somebody gets a quadruple kill or something, I need
yeah.
to be able to like hit L2 to just instantly be like, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I know as like the rock star of the game that was like saving you guys a lot. I felt pretty unthanked for all my like efforts, despite probably being the worst of the three of us.
Now
I
see,
felt that my
I would
silence told everything. So
I would say thank you, Daniel, but Skype just doesn't have pre-selected responses. I just can't tell you that right now.
and I don't have 5 minutes to look for it. So
I don't have any drop-down menus that say good job.
GG.
It drives me nuts, but oh, he found one.
Yep,
Okay.
I see that.
You guys can't see it at home, but Skype has like these weird emojis now that like fill the screen, so
Go team.
all right. I think that that leads us to our break. And then when we come back, we'll discuss some more about that and get into the economy of the game and more things about that. Which, as you know, if you're a longtime listener of the show, I have lots of strong opinions about game monetization and economies. So definitely stick around for that, and we will be right back after these messages.
Bye.
Jake, have you ever been looking for a definitive Nintendo ranking and can't seem to find it because it's just everybody's own opinion?
Honestly, all the time, Sam.
Well, I'm looking for someone to give us the answers.
Wait, you mean like a podcast made by two young, handsome men where they create a definitive top 5 list of all things Nintendo?
Should we just do it ourselves?
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Let's give it a shot. I'm Sam,
And I'm Jake.
and at Top 5 Nintendo, I'm going to give you my top 5 list,
And I'm gonna give you my top 5 list.
and then we're going to duke it out and see what the real top 5 is.
Hi there, I'm David,
And I'm Kate.
and we're the hosts of another Zelda podcast.
There are so many good podcasts out there, and some of them in particular concern The Legend of Zelda.
That's right, Kate, and we are another one of them. That is actually the name of our show, Another
Yes.
Zelda podcast.
And in our show in particular, we talk about some of our favorite dungeons, characters, boss battles. We have top 10 lists.
Yeah, we do deep dives on game design and production aspects of the different Zelda games.
And we talk about our own experiences. We do some review episodes, talk about our challenges, our struggles, and our victories.
That's right. Really just almost anything that has to do with Zelda, we like to talk about it. A new episode comes out every other Friday, and you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and YouTube.
And you can also check out our episodes on our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com.
That's right. All right, we will see you there.
Okay, bye!
Did you like those ads? I hope you did. someone worked very hard on them, unless my ad played. But that wouldn't make sense because this is our show. So
We're
I'm sure
derelict
that
on ads right now. we owe a couple of ads, so
yes, we do need to do that. Maybe
Stay
you heard an
tuned.
ad for Shane's show, which you should definitely check out. Another Zelda pod.
Absolutely.
So let's pick up where we left off with platform and stuff. The kind of tail end of that that I wanted to talk about was just, do you guys ever see Pokemon, maybe Unite, maybe more, coming out on PC?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. It's what is it?
Something to think
10 cent.
about.
10 cent makes that.
Yes, something to think about with that is that it seems like to me, across the whole gaming landscape, PlayStation and Xbox have both realized that their competition is not PC players. The PC player, like the hardcore PC gaming crowd, they're not going to buy a PS4 or an Xbox no matter what you do, and there is no convincing them. So I think that's why we're seeing so much of those games come out on PC as well, because it's like it's an entire revenue stream that we're not getting, and they're never going to buy it anyway. And I don't think Nintendo is ever going to go full PC or anything, because their exclusives are what sell their consoles. Like, people will buy a Switch to play Pokemon. But I wonder if some things like Unite, kind of like we talked about earlier, Unite hooks people into wanting to try more, potentially. So maybe, it's hard to imagine somebody who owns a Switch and is not super familiar with Pokemon. Even if you don't like it, you at least know fully what it is, and if you're going to give it a shot, you already have.
I'm thinking about like the Steam Deck coming out and how they could play, do an exclusive like mobile thing for the Steam Deck or something. This is the Pokemon Company. Nintendo owns a good majority of the Pokemon Company, but the Pokemon Company could technically put their games on other things, especially working with Tencent, and I think the other one's called TIMI Studio Group or Timmy or they could maybe they'd have some kind of partnership with that. You know how Nintendo worked with Apple, maybe they do something like that.
Yeah, it's very strange to think about, but it is something that I think about nonetheless. Just how more people could play the game, and how we could play it in different ways. I think that's as good a segue as I'm going to get. Playing the game in different ways. There's lots of characters, and Shane pointed out to me during the break we didn't go over that. So, let's talk about the roster a little bit. I'm going to pull it up in front of me here. Now I'll say I thought that it launched with too little, and I think that this is very common for MOBAs, because you really do need a lot of characters to launch a MOBA. Because if I'm going to play like attack or something like an AD carry, attack damage carry, I need options. It's not enough for me to have one option of that. Or if I'm going to play an assassin or a mage character, it's like, well, it's not enough for me to have one mage. I need different mages that I may or may not gel with. But it seems like the game is slowly getting there. Since launch, they've added 7 more characters. And I mean, that's a pretty good start. I think they're on a pretty good pace. So we'll start with, who do we each play? Do you want to start on that, Daniel?
Sure. So I really liked playing with Alolan Ninetales and obviously Blastoise. Well, Squirtle, and I'm not sure I was quite excellent enough to get to Blastoise more than maybe once or twice. Like, pretend to be any great player of this, but I also liked Cinderace.
Cinderace?
Sure, that too. I liked playing as Edelgos.
Eldegoss?
Yeah. I don't know why. I think it's just like, what a random choice to be in this.
Yeah, that was also something that Eldegoss specifically was, I think, is the perfect example of not launching with enough characters. On launch, Eldegoss was the healer.
Yep.
there were other support characters, but the only ones that could restore health at all was Eldegoss.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to me.
The way I played was prioritizing speed, because like I was saying earlier, like the going slow really just like killed it for me. So like I always wanted to be the fast characters, because even if I wasn't good, I felt like I got to be involved in things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is a big thing in MOBAs, is mobility and you being able to be where the action is and where you need to be at a certain time. Because
Mhm.
if it doesn't matter how good you are if you're not there.
Yeah.
Shane, who did you like playing as?
Same. Alola Ninetales. I always like speed, but also be reserved a little, where you can have a distance attack. So he's got a decent amount where you can put up a wall or send ice, wind at a distance, which I like. So if I have to retreat quickly, I can do so, recover life, and then come back really quick and attack some more. I didn't unlock it myself, but I played it at my friend's house. I really want to get Crustle. I enjoyed playing that character. So once I have enough coins, I'm gonna pick that one up. But that, and then I liked playing as Ghastly Haunter Gengar. That was fun as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was especially fun early because Gengar launched super broken.
Yep.
And I don't blame the developers for that one either. Like in MOBAs, that's just a fact of life. Like there's gonna be exploits and characters that are broken, and you're not gonna launch with that perfectly balanced. That would be insane.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I
it's
remember-
kind of fun having like kind of like a glitched out character, not like the whole entire lifespan of the game, but I think it's fun to like be the person to figure that out, or at least feel like you're the person that figured it out.
Oh yeah.
Because then you're like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna dominate this whole round, and there is nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, that definitely feels good. But I remember like when it first came out, a lot of us thought Talonflame was going to be like the best character or something, and then he fell off super quickly as people got better at the game. He apparently was just fantastic, I think kind of due to mobility. He was a great pick when nobody knew how to play. And then after that, Zeraora was seen as like the super broken one.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And it was again that he, I think, was a really good character when people were just learning how to play and just starting to figure it out, because he was very easy to pick up. And so I think those people that were playing Zeraora figured him out faster than some of the other ones. And then Gengar is a lot harder to play, or kind of was a lot harder to wrap your head around, I think. And then as far as me taking it really seriously, he was the last one I saw that was super broken, and they had just fixed him about the time that I kind of stopped playing so much. But he definitely is the most broken one out the gate. So of course I like playing as him. I also liked playing Cinderace, was really my main. I did, I think, really well with Cinderace. And then I really liked both of the tanks at launch, Slowbro and Snorlax. They both could really get in there and scrap. And people didn't, I think people underestimated their damage output a lot. So I felt like I could get the jump on people a lot, that I rush you with Snorlax and people are like, oh, he's a tank, he can't do anything. They die. And they're like, what happened?
The
I
worst
forgot.
part of the game was Snorlax. That was my least favorite part of the entire game. Was that you'd be walking up into the enemy territory, and then a Snorlax comes like speeding at you somehow, and there's just nothing you can do but like respawn. Be like trying to respawn just upon seeing a Snorlax. I'd be like, okay, fine, I'll start again. You win.
It's like
someone
flung a beanbag at you.
Yeah.
I forgot Crustle was also a tank at launch, so I had to correct myself. And the last one I really played was Pikachu. I got pretty good with Pikachu.
Mhm.
So the outside of who you enjoy playing, who are you happy is here?
I'm happy to see Squirtle, obviously, because of that being said.
I didn't enjoy playing him very much, but I like Lucario a lot. He's one of my favorite Pokemon, so I was very glad he was here.
I like that Gengar and Snorlax are here because those are two of my 6 main favorite characters from the original Pokemon.
I do wish we had Fat Pikachu. I'm glad though that we're getting lots of characters that I feel like don't get a lot of attention. We talked about that a little bit in part 1 of the show, but it's like Crustle. You know, Crustle matters in this more than he matters, I think, in any other Pokemon game. And some of the other ones they've added, like Mamoswine. You know, you never see things about Mamoswine, and why would you?
I didn't know who that was.
I don't blame you.
And I've played Sword and Shield, like some of the more modern ones, and I still don't know who that is.
Yeah.
It's
and
very
then,
cute.
I didn't remember his name. Greedent, the little squirrel guy. Like,
yeah, I didn't remember him either.
That's another really cool ad. So who do you guys want added?
Well, my favorite Pokemon is Farfetch'd, so I would love to see Farfetch'd. Maybe use like Air Slash as his main, and his other one's Return. So I'm wondering if it would be kind of cool if you walked over one of the goals that your team owns, and if you were going into enemy territory and you're losing, you can hit like the button to return to that goal so you can get your life back. And it's a really slow charge. Evolved, of course, into Surfetched and have like Counter and Brave Bird, and maybe even toss in Leak Slap or something. Or
I like your idea of the counter, especially. That sounds really fun.
Yeah, that would be kind of an interesting. I also think it would be cool if we already have Sylveon in there. Why not be able to have Eevee? I don't know if you get a X amount of goals, or I don't know how you'd work it. Maybe you find a rock or something around the map, and you can actually evolve it into something other than Sylveon. And you can one of my other favorite Pokemon for my 6 is Jolteon. So I'd like to use him or use some of the other forms just to see how it would play. It'd be kind of cool.
I agree. I can tell that you and I are both Heroes of the Storm players because we like all these weird off-the-wall things.
Yep.
But that is what I loved about that game, and I was really hoping even more that Pokemon would just get weird with it. For the Heroes of the Storm, my main was Abathur, which was this slug-like character that you hide his main body on the map, and then he spawns like little minions from his body. You place mines around the map, and you can like put a little hat on your teammates and shoot missiles off of them. Like it was really cool. But that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like I want some really weird stuff, and I don't totally know what Pokemon would be best to add for that. I thought maybe like Plusle and Minun as one character could be interesting.
Okay.
Like Ice Climbers?
Yeah, kind of like Ice Climbers in Smash Bros. Or another thing I really loved doing a ton in Heroes of the Storm was they added a character named Cho'Gall. It was an ogre with 2 heads, and you played him with 2 people, and each of you controls a head. And so I thought that was really unique and fun, like a co-op character. You could do that with Plusle and Minun. Like one character controls the moves and buffs you and throws out things. The other
you could have
attacks.
three people control Dugtrio.
I mean, I think at that point you'd be missing too much on the field.
Yeah.
Because can you imagine like the 3v3 mode and you have Dugtrio and that's it? But if you made him really powerful, I mean, maybe. I like stuff like that. Or Dodrio, like the bird thing. Or if you want you want me to really flex my Pokemon lore knowledge, there was this ridiculous manga that I love. I think it was the original Pokemon manga. And I have this distinct memory, and maybe this didn't happen at all. Like maybe I'm crazy, but there's a lot of talk about the ultimate Pokemon in this early manga. And in my head as a little kid, I'm like, I know what it is. It's Mewtwo. And when we finally get to that plot point, it's a fusion of all 3 of the legendary birds together with like this 3-headed amalgamation thing. And I'm sitting there like, I did not see that coming. They could bring that thing back.
What was the glitch? Was it missing number?
Yeah, do something with that.
You could have missing number as a character. That'd be awesome.
I think if they did that, they would have to make like plushes of it too, if they were going to fully admit that that's a Pokemon. And then that leads us into a whole other world. But Daniel,
Yeah.
what Pokemon do you wish they would add, if there's any that you really just are hankering for?
Since you said kind of off the ball or off the wall kind of stuff, maybe there could be like Mew, but he has like his truck that he hides in the original games.
The picture that sprung to mind just now was Trucker Mew wearing a trucker hat, driving an
Trucker
18-wheeler down the lane, and I'm kind of loving it. But
It's
John
not
Deere
bad
for life.
There are much worse ideas. More realistically, I think Grookey would be fun because a lot of his attacks are like wood hammer, where like a hammer actually appears. So you're kind of like creating an out of character element that's not necessarily a fireball or some other type of attack ball thing that you're shooting. It kind of like would give you another like physical manifestation of a weapon kind of idea.
with his final form, hear me out, it could be a rhythm-based character
Yeah, Donkey
because he like
Kong.
drums.
And then obviously I'd want some other Pokemon I like Scyther would be fun. Sedinja could be kind of cool.
Oh yeah, Shedinja would be okay. I changed my mind. I think that's my top pick. I
Because
want to
you
see
could
how
have
they
like
get that to work.
the evolution sort of be a little different for that.
I just want to see how they do his ability.
That too.
It would be nice to toss in like Hitmontop and then be able to evolve into the other three. Or was Tyrogue and
Mhm.
evolve into Hitmontop, Hitmonlee, and Hitmonchan.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that'd be cool based on like what your team needs. If you're doing
Yeah.
really well, you know,
Or
you
maybe
can.
maybe the lane that you picked or the lane that you were most in, or depends. You know, if you're in lane 1, maybe you got Hitmonchan and Hitmontop in the middle, Hitmonlee at the bottom.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Kind of thinking of stupid ideas, I guess. But there's this TV show that I like cringe watch called American Dad. And there's a character named Klaus who is a fish who is able to move around the screen in his like kind of glass of water that he just
I
kind of
see where you're going with this.
like that could be like a really fun way to like incorporate some like water-based characters where like you could have like Magikarp, but he's just like in a cup.
I was just gonna say that, and I was thinking like Final Fantasy. Was it Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, where they carried the miasma around? You have someone carry it around, and then Magikarp evolves, and then Gyarados comes out of this big little tank.
Your team literally just has to literally physically carry you through the match until you're useful. Oh my gosh.
That would be like definitely something different. Like I can't picture them like legitimately doing it, but like the idea of it would be very cool.
Like you'd have to have like Miltank or Delibird or somebody that could carry somebody, you know, around, and then it would evolve, and then you could use it.
Oh my gosh.
Like kind of like overpower it, so like it's kind of worth the effort it is to get it to someone useful.
You would have to.
Maybe what would be cool is if you can pick a maybe it's called like a a nurse Pokemon or something like that, and you have eggs around the map that are hidden, and you can find an egg and you can have that Pokemon carry it around, and then once it hatches, then you can switch from that to that character.
You can do all right, here's a dark idea for you. You play as Kangaskhan.
There you
and
go.
You go around the map until you get knocked out and you die. And then when you respawn, you're a Cubone. And you have to go out and take revenge for because, you know, the speculation is that Cubone is the little baby Kangaskhan.
And then
so you go out and try and get revenge for your mother that died. And then eventually you evolve back to Kangaskhan and you get stronger and stuff. And then when you die again, you're back.
I was going to say, once you die, then you become Ghastly.
Oh. Rough. All right, before we come up with too many more soul-sucking ideas, let's get into the economy of this game, which in and of itself will do the job for you. So it's no secret that there's been a lot of pushback in monetization for this game. And that is actually a big reason why I don't play it so much anymore. We have an entire episode on Turn by Turn in Season 1 where we talk about battle passes. And the episode didn't do very well, but I still think it's good. It's kind of all over the place, but if you're interested in monetization stuff, it's a good start into that, I think. And I harped on battle passes a lot in that, so I won't do it too much in this. But I actually did do the battle pass for this one, and it's the first battle pass I've ever done. And I don't think either of you two did that, right? Y'all are smarter than me. But I was playing the game really seriously, and I figured I would wait until I had actually completed the free version of the battle pass before I bought anything. And I did stick to it, and I did do that because I didn't want to pay and then not get it, you know.
Yeah.
So to complete the battle pass, I had to play sometimes multiple times a day, just about every single day. And you can only the way the battle pass advances is you complete daily quests to get points that advance your battle pass. These are, like I said, they're daily. There are some weekly ones, but really, if you want to finish it, you've got to do these daily ones. And so this was awful. This was just an awful experience. And I kind of wanted to do it too, just because I had such strong feelings about it, and to say I've actually done it once. You could only miss, for those of you who don't know, a battle pass, like there's seasons, and these are rewards that you have to grind for, but you also have to pay real money for. You only get these rewards if you grind enough, you play the game enough. And like I said, it's not just a number of hours. You have to, because it's daily, you've got to be on almost every day. So I forget, I did the math at the time, but it's been a little while now. I think I could afford to miss like 10 days in the season. It's a lot. And you can, of course, if you miss more days, you can pay real money to get those points and make that up. But I was really determined I was not doing that. So I ended up having to organize parts of my life around this, because I'm like, well, you know, I want to hang out with so and so today, but I have to do my Pokemon dailies by 8 p.m. So I've got to do that before I go. This is not a fun way to play a game. It became a chore that I had to do every day, to make sure I kept up with it. Because, you know, you don't want to lose the rewards you're grinding for and have to pay more, quote, quote. So it just was really, really not fun. And that's what I said in the Battle Pass episode we did, that Battle Passes to me are just not fun. It's not fun when I'm having to reorganize activities and things and keep track. You know, I'm looking at the clock because I know it in my time and Central Time. The Pokemon Unite daily clock resets at 8 p.m. So I need to have all my dailies done by 8 p.m. And then if I want to do tomorrow's, as long as I'm playing after 8 p.m., I can go ahead and start on that. All I really have to say about it, it was a terrible experience, and it burned me out on the game because I ended up playing very often in times that I didn't want to. And that's another big reason that I am not as incentivized to play today, because when I'm constantly having to play when I don't want to, it just doesn't work. And I'm not the kind of gamer that gets to play games every day. I, you know, have a busy life. I do things. And sometimes I just get my one day on the weekend where I can grind out, you know, play my favorite game for 4 or 5 hours that day. It's really hard to find smaller bursts of time. Do you guys kind of find yourselves in the similar situation?
Let me actually ask you guys both this. If you were to see that, like, let's say it's not like the current like pay scale that it is, if it was like a $50 game, like at Target or whatever, with no additional buying stuff, all the characters are just available through, like in Smash Brothers, where like Smash Brothers Melee, not with all the DLC and stuff, but
Okay.
if it was just like a regular game where playing for 300 hours unlocks, do you think that you like, is the style of the game fun enough that you guys would want to go out and like pay the $50 for the game?
Do you want to start with that one, Shane?
Yeah. I feel with the current cast that they have, I don't know, because I would first like to play a demo, of course, to see how it was before I even chose to go out and buy it. But if they made each character unique enough, I probably would look at it and probably purchase it. But I would hope that they would continue to make like DLC packs of Pokemon, that either A are free, or B, $10 for 4 new Pokemon or 5 new Pokemon, or
something reasonable.
Yeah, something reasonable, something like Smash Brothers, or even Mario Golf, where they got the free 4 new courses and 4 or 6 new characters, whatever it was, for free after launch. So something like that. I don't know. They would probably also have to weigh, are they going to get their money from this, or would they be better off doing it the way they currently have and want to make more microtransaction type deals? Or could they do both, have microtransactions for all the just glamour stuff there, and maybe items that they can hold, and still make it a $50-$60 game?
Mm-hmm.
For me, at least, I'm really opposed to, if I'm paying $50-$60, you don't get microtransactions. Like, I'm paying you $50 to $60 to avoid that.
Well, that's what I'm kind of wondering. Like, does taking all the microtransactions and like 700 different forms of currency to earn, and like the skin, like the skins where you can get Squirtle wearing a top hat and like a twirling mustache, like taking that kind of extra stuff out, is the style of a game appeal enough that you'd want it as like a cartridge game?
For me, I really like MOBA games. So, and I'm not married to the $60 price tag either. If you're saying, we have a really fun game and we don't want to put microtransactions in it, we're going to charge you $100. And that's just how much it's going to be to pick this game up. Sorry about that, but we're not doing the microtransaction thing. It's just going to be $100. And then we're still going to do the reasonably priced DLC packs, maybe 3 characters for $10. I would be much more okay with that. Gotcha. I'm open to spending $100 on a game if it's fun and you're not constantly, it's sort of like when if a relative or your best friend, or maybe a friend you don't even like that much, comes to you and says, "Hey man, I really need to borrow $5." And you say, okay, I can let you do that. You give him $5 and he leaves. And then tomorrow he comes back and says, "Hey man, I really need to borrow $5." And you're like, "I loaned you 5 yesterday, but okay, you can borrow $5 more." And then he leaves. And then he comes back the next day and says, "Hey man, and you're like, "Let me stop you right there. How much do you want? Because I don't want you coming to me." It would get annoying very quickly. I don't want you coming to me every day asking for $5. You clearly need something. How much is it you actually need? And he says, "Well, I need $50 because I am in debt to this thing." Okay, if it's a good reason, I'll pay you $50 and we'll be done. I have the exact same approach to games. If you want to make more money, just tell me that. And I don't think that's bad or evil. You can want to make more money, and that's fine. There's ways to do that I think are acceptable. Just be open and honest. We think we made a great game. I think it is worth $100. That's what we're selling it for. Okay, I can do that. I can get behind that. Just tell me how much you want, and then I can make that decision. And people might be wondering too, like, why are we making such a big deal about this? So I think we should go on a little bit and talk a little bit more about it. So the things you can spend money on in Pokemon Unite, there's the Battle Pass, which I forget how much it was. It's like $15 or so. There are loot boxes that you can purchase the ability to open. Then there are characters, which you can buy with real money. Then there are skins that you can buy with real money. And almost none of these things use the same currency as any of the other things.
I was going to say, I wrote this piece. It's called the banter piece, and it's "Is Pokemon Unite actually dividing us?" And
where can people find this?
They can find that on Boss Rush Network. If they click on my name as an author, Shane Kelley, you can find it. I think it came out in August.
So is Pokemon Unite dividing us? That's
actually dividing us.
Dividing us. All right.
The 6 currencies are AOS coins, AOS gems, AOS tickets, fashion tickets, Hollowware tickets, and item enhancers. So there's 6 different currencies. Don't include your real currency of your either American dollar or whatever currency you have. But
did you have gold in that list? I missed that.
I did not, and I think gold was. I don't know if that was right away, or they added it or something?
It was right away. So it
Oh,
launched
okay.
with
So the
7
gold
currencies.
is okay. So yeah, there's a lot of currencies. So it's weird. I feel it's like a subtle tactic to somewhat confuse the player, and it almost dilutes your or it gives you an illusion of what you're spending your money on. And
Yes.
when you're first starting out, you almost don't know what you should use that money or that currency to spend it on, and what is smart to save and what's not smart to save over time. So yeah, I think it's just a weird way to confuse the players into possibly purchasing more than they need to with actual money. So whether that be a pay to win is up to the person. I believe it's almost a pay to bypass certain things in the game. So
I think it depends which thing you're talking about, because you can absolutely grind all of it out, but I do think the item enhancers are absolutely pay to win.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, getting new players to play a game with you, like if I want somebody to play Heroes of the Storm with me, I can put you on a character, and you are going to start at a baseline that is 100% equal to somebody on the opposite team. The thing that ends up mattering is skill, and they
Yep.
might have a nicer skin than you. They might know the character better, but you are both starting from the exact same place, no matter how many hours that guy has in the game or how much he spent. Pokemon, you could pay for these item enhancers, and these items would do things like reduce your cooldown times, up your move speed, up your attack damage, by whole percentage points. And you could pay a good amount of money. I saw some YouTubers try and do it and try and calculate how much it was going to be. If you wanted like a full set of good items, it's going to be like $200, I want to say, to skip all of that and on day one have fully decked out items. And people might say, well, you don't need those on day one. No, but as the game goes on, if you want new people to play, it's not going to feel good when they join. And it's like, well, why do I not do as much damage as everybody else? It's like, well, everybody else that's been playing for months has items built that, in mobile, to backtrack just a second, the mobile phone version launched like 3 months after the Switch version. So if you're playing on the Switch version and you've been playing for 3 months, you have a mathematical advantage over everybody that's on phones already, because you've got these items.
Yep.
And it's a big deal for competitive games that it's like, I'm doing 3% more damage than you just because I've had the game longer or just because I've paid. Like flat before we even start the game, I'm going to do 3% more damage than you. And you can hold 3 of these items. So it's not just that. It's I'm doing 3% more damage than you. I'm taking 5% less damage than you, and I'm moving 4% faster than you. And over the course of a 20-minute match or a 10-minute match or however long you want to play, that really starts to add up. I mean, these numbers get really, really big, really, really fast. If you were to break down how much extra damage or move speed that is, or time saved over the entire course of the match, it's a lot. So I think it was absolutely pay to win. Like Shane said, it's a lot of obfuscating what you're really paying. You know, you're paying for these gems and stuff that don't translate fully to dollars. And there's, again, better ways and worse ways to do this. I prefer not having any of these currencies and stuff just be open and have it be dollars, because then I know what I'm spending. But I at least appreciate it more when it's like, well, 2,000 gems is $20. And I'm like, all right, at least then I'm not running conversions in my head. I'm just sticking a decimal point, and it's real easy to keep track of. Pokemon Unite does not do that. I remember when we were gearing up for this episode, Shane sent me a video about, with YouTubers talking about, they launched a skin for Alola Ninetales, 2,499 gems. And that translates to 40 real world dollars. The only argument to defend it is, if you don't like it, don't buy it. But my argument to that is, just because you can doesn't mean you should. From a developer perspective, obviously they can. When you have a loyal fan base, which the Pokemon fan base, especially lately, has been absolutely very loyal. And I feel like they get taken advantage of with some of these practices. There's people out there that collect everything Pokemon, and I mean everything.
You set it at that price, and say 0.5% of the people playing buy it. And so now the company's like, well, maybe we should lower it a bit. So let's put it on a sale for $26 or something. And then you're going to get 2% more of people buying that skin. And now the company looks almost heroic for lowering the price to appease the players. But yet it's still a ridiculous amount of real world dollars.
And I think it's important too to talk about, because I can just, like, if it's a free game or if it's a game I really enjoy, even, I can justify to myself paying good chunks of change sometimes. That it's like, well, I really enjoy the game, and gaming as a whole is a really good money investment to time and enjoyment time trade-off. You know, I can pay $60 for a game that can entertain me for hundreds of hours. And that's a really good trade-off compared to things like movies or TV shows or laser tag or other things. So it's like, yeah, $40 might not seem like that much, but when you think about it, it's like that is almost entirely to another entire game, even in the same series. You know, add $20 more on there, and that's an entire new Pokemon game.
And that's just like one skin for one Pokemon. You know, you do that for, say, 5 Pokemon. You know, that's $200 for 5 Pokemon, and people will buy that, and it's fine. You could buy however many you want, but I feel like that's a high asking price for anything. It's very inflated.
I think the thing that stuck out to me was, like I said, I played about 5 or 6 hours, and I went to the store to kind of figure out, like, what can I buy with what I've earned, because I didn't have any sense of like what I had earned and what value that it had. And having played for 5 or 6 hours, which is different for everybody, but for me that's like a commitment to try it. I was able to buy a pair of shorts for my avatar, and he looked really good in them. Like, it wasn't the quality of the shorts that was the problem. 5 or 6 hours to get a pair of shorts that you see for about 30 seconds in between, like the loading screen, feels like quite the commitment for a pair of shorts. And this is on me for kind of being foolish, but I thought I had enough points to unlock a character. All I ended up having enough money for was the shorts.
Well, let's talk about unlocking characters, because this is something that really astounded me too. And all of these things by themselves, much to my chagrin, are more normal in the gaming sphere. All of them together are not normal. You don't normally get loot boxes and a battle pass and skins and characters and pay-to-win items. You don't normally have all of that in one. At most, you have 2 of those things, and people are still like, this is a bit much. Let's talk about how you unlock characters. So the free way to do it is through coins. And characters cost several thousand coins. I think the most expensive characters are 10,000. Is that right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I thought so. And there's ones that are a little bit less, but the most expensive characters are 10,000 coin. If you play a match and you lose, you get like 20 coins. And if you play a match and you win, you get 40 coins. This is already, looking at it, not very good in terms of how much grinding you're going to have to do to get one character. And there are daily missions and things that help you, etc. But this goes back to the battle pass thing again. Like, you're having to play every single day to really budge that meter. And if you are like me and you prefer to sit down for longer gaming sessions on less days, they have a weekly cap on how many coins you can earn. That is not normal at all, and really blew me away that it even existed. Then on top of that, there is in the store, they sell coin boosts that you can purchase with real world money to accumulate coins faster. Some people assumed incorrectly that would somehow influence the coin cap, and it doesn't.
You just get them quicker, right?
Yes.
It's the same cap. So
when you hit that cap, you're still at that cap, and the cap is not real high. I did hit it in one day at one point, and it was like, well, then there's no more grinding for me the rest of the week. It just isn't a thing. And something I felt was really dirty was when the game first launched, they had like these monthly quests as well. And monthly quests are great. It's a great thing to keep you grinding on. But I couldn't 100% the monthly quest because two of the quests were, we need you to spend real world money on a coin boost and on an experience boost. And I'm like, I am not going to spend real world money on a coin boost that I can't use. Like, I'm going to I'm already at the cap. But then it's like, well, then you're not going to complete this month's quests because you didn't pay real money. And I'm like, that blows me away that was ever there. And I
Yeah.
know there were lots of people that are completionists for games and stuff that it's like, well, I don't want that, but I need to see that little 100%. And it astounds me that like Tencent, I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't think Tencent is a good company. I don't. And there's lots of reasons for that. There's the things the biggest thing they own is Riot Games, which famously makes League of Legends and now lots of other games. And this doesn't mean that I think the developers are bad. The developers are people just like you and I that are working really hard to put out a product that they really care about and clearly pour tons of love and soul into. And I think that's why people like their games so much. But the company's had all sorts of issues internally with how it's treated its employees, even recently. And it blows me away that people really care. I was talking to a friend about this the other day with because I was like, why do people care that Blizzard treats its employees really badly, but Tencent and Riot, it's not a big deal? And he, I think, had a really eloquent answer. And he said that people have been upset at Blizzard for a long time and are looking for a reason to stop supporting them. People have been happy with Riot for a long time and very happy with Tencent for a long time. So they're looking for reasons to look past it. It really still stuns me. And I'm not saying either that Pokemon Unite is a bad game. I enjoy playing it. The gameplay is very fun. But it really astonishes me that Nintendo and the Pokemon Company would work with them and then let them just go off the rails and do all these things. Because Nintendo has been very, very steadfast in not going crazy with DLC and microtransactions. A lot of the other giant AAA companies have. And to anybody that says, video games are expensive to make, yes, they are. The Pokemon Company is the largest, most wealthy entertainment company on the planet. And that really blew me away, too. I assumed, like, well, it's got to be Disney or it's got to be, Warner Bros. Or something. No, it's the Pokemon Company. They are the biggest, wealthiest entity on the earth for entertainment. They can afford to price things reasonably. And you might say, well, they didn't get that way by pricing things reasonably, but they did. This is a newer thing.
Do you think that they partnered with Tencent to try to break into the Chinese market a little
Absolutely.
more? So that's what I think. I think it's creating or establishing relationships over there, trying to, I don't know, tap into more revenue.
Yes, because the Chinese market is very, very large. But I think that the Chinese, we could do a whole turn by turn on this. And I don't know if you guys are interested in that, definitely let me know. But what the Chinese market is looking for in games and what I'm personally looking for in games is very at odds. Mobile games with lots of microtransactions and lots of gambling mechanics do very, very well in China. And that is the antithesis of what I really enjoy about gaming.
I guess the point is it's a free game and you are no way obligated to pay money to participate, to have fun.
Yep.
So
yes,
it comes down to your choice and your choice alone. And only if a majority of people voice their opinion, nothing's going to change with pricing on that. So,
well, it doesn't even matter if you voice your opinion because the majority has very clearly said they don't like it. The thing is, they still buy it.
I feel that a battle pass is somewhat different than buying a $40, skin.
But it's that they exist in the same game next to each other.
True. But it's what you spend it on. You chose to spend it on Battle Pass and not a $40 skin for one character that just is for everyone to view. Like it's almost like you paid for it to see it, but everyone else gets to see it too. So it's like they get to see it for free now.
Well, that's sort of the idea, though. It's advertising.
Yeah.
It's that I have this cool skin, you should have a cool skin. So this is really what takes Pokemon Unite down for me a lot of pegs, that I'm just like, this is rough. And I just, if this was EA's Pokemon or Activision's Pokemon, I
Mhm.
would be like, well, that's what I expect. But when it's Nintendo's Pokemon, I expect better. I do hold Nintendo to a higher standard, and I hold Pokemon to a higher standard. And that's not just because I am that way. It's because of experience. It's because that's what Nintendo has led me to expect. It's led me to expect games that, like with other companies, when I buy a game on launch day, there's a very high chance it's not going to work. There's going to be lots of bugs. It's not going to be finished. I might be getting something shoddy that will be fixed later. Nintendo, when I buy that cartridge and put it in my Switch, I am confident it's going to boot up and it's going to work. And there's not going to be major problems, because that's what Nintendo's standard has been. It's sort of the same with microtransactions and stuff, that their standard has been, for the most part, very fair. And so that's what I expect. And really all this comes from, and I say this in any time I criticize a game a lot in an episode, this comes from a place of love. I love Pokemon and I love Nintendo. It's my whole childhood. And it's
Yeah.
not just that. I've kept playing all the way into my adult years, and now I'm 26 and I still play Pokemon, and it's great. I care. And because I care, I want to see them continue to thrive and continue to do well. So when I see them going down paths that I don't think are for the best, I speak my mind, and I say that because I want them to do better and I want them to improve. Because we've had a good thing going on. The latest plush line has actually been really amazing. They're doing plushes of every single Pokemon, every single one, and that's crazy to me. But it's awesome, and there's people that are going to collect every single one, and I think that's fine if it makes those people happy. But it'd be weird too if they got to the end of that line and they were like, all right, now we're going to do Mewtwo or Groudon or somebody that hasn't been done yet, and that one randomly is going to be $6,000 just for the
Oh,
people that have collected all of them. You're not going to have that one, or you're going to shell out $6,000. They could absolutely do that, but I would look at them and go, this is not caring about your audience. You can do that, and people will buy it. But if you value your audience, you're not going to do. And to you, the audience, you deserve better. You deserve better than that.
I wonder if they would do like alternate for like shinies. They could they could do so much damage, I think, with charging variant colors for Pokemon as well. I could see that going a little crazy. So
They could. And at the end of the day, if people buy it, that is up to them.
Yeah.
But I'm still just saying, I think that ethically we can do better. Pokemon and Nintendo have a long history of doing better. So it's weird to me that we have kind of a blight on that I look at and I'm like, man, what are y'all doing?
I think that we should say, and you did, but to like repeat it, it's a pretty fun game. Like the 5-hour investment feels about right in my head. Like I could picture myself going back and having fun, like playing it just sort of randomly without having dropped a single cent on it. So I think it
Yeah.
has some definite playability that way, as long as you
Yeah,
control yourself.
I was definitely having a good time right before this podcast. I played 3 rounds, so I was top on 3 of them, or 2 of them. So yeah, it's not hard by any means to enjoy it. But it's just be responsible for yourself and how you spend your money there. So
Yeah, and I agree too. Just to echo that, it is very fun, and that's why they can charge so much. They couldn't do that if the game wasn't fun.
Yeah.
The game is very fun, and I harbor no ill will towards the developers who are sitting there at their computers coding to make it a fun game, and that are pouring their heart and soul into trying to make a good experience for the players. Those people, I have nothing but respect, and I know you work very hard, and a lot of these decisions are not yours.
Yep.
In fact, probably none of these decisions are yours.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like everybody should try it out, because like it does give like that like little bit of like, yeah, this is actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It is. And as for its like final standing in the world of MOBAs, I think that's probably the thing we can end on. Because MOBA is a very saturated genre with lots of titans like Dota 2, League of Legends, Smite. Like it's very hard to break into that market. And I don't think Pokemon Unite is going to be a viable esports game as it stands. I think that for new people to get into it, it's just going to be too difficult. I think having it not be on PC is a huge barrier to that. Because, you know, all these giant esports arenas and stuff that people are building all around the world as esports becomes a bigger thing, they're doing all of that with PC in mind. And so I don't think that they're all going to have, like, you know, they're all just going to start stocking a bunch of Switches to accommodate Pokemon Unite. I just don't see that happening right now. So I don't think it's going to replace or any of those or get, but I do think it's going to be a staple of the Switch that is going to continue to be fun for a more casual audience, which there's nothing wrong with. Heroes of the Storm was more casual. That was my favorite MOBA.
Yes, I agree.
I'm not looking to play the most perfectly balanced game in existence, the most competitive. I'm looking when I play MOBAs, I'm looking to drop in, play a wacky character, and have some fun. I don't even care that much if I win or lose. And I think Pokemon Unite will continue to be that. And I don't see it like having support dropped or anything. I think that it's going to become maybe a little bit less popular as we get out, but it's always going to have that core player base that is going to keep coming back every time a new character is announced. They're going to keep being excited. And who knows, I might drop back in and play a couple of matches just to do it, because it is a fun game. And I think it'll always be around in that capacity, in sort of its own niche that it's carving out.
Especially when you can get Magikarp in like a glass cup of water just to like hop around the field.
If that happens, I will definitely go back and play some matches as Glass Cup Magikarp.
Right? They have to like save like the best possible thing until like the audience is like when they need like a revival.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I'm wondering if that's going to be Mewtwo or something. They don't have, well, I think Zeraora is considered a legendary, so, but not super a legendary. So I don't know if they've broached that entirely yet, but be interested to see if they eventually do let legendary start being playable.
I'm definitely curious to see how the roster develops. And like, I don't think I said it so far in the episode, but when we were talking off recorder, I didn't know some of the ones that are some of the Pokemon that are currently on the list, and I'm like fairly decently well versed in Pokemon characters, so it's interesting to see what makes the cut versus what can wait or what's never going to make the cut, kind of thing.
I'd also like to say too that it's never too late to fix the monetization things either. I know League of Legends used to have a pay-to-win system as rune pages, and eventually they were like, you know, this is a bad idea, and they got rid of it. Heroes of the Storm did an entire revamp into Heroes of the Storm 2.0, changed the way they did everything in terms of monetization. So I'm like, it could still happen. They could at any time be like, well, we're gonna just we're gonna massively revamp everything. They have the means to do so, and there's precedent for it, you know. So the game still could become anything. They could even add turrets instead of little basketball goals. The sky's the limit, and with a brand like Pokemon, they can make this into whatever they want to make it, and it's still going to have an audience. Pokemon is extremely powerful as a brand, and I'm not saying that is a bad thing either. It's powerful for a reason. People really, really like Pokemon. And so I'm excited to see still where it goes, what happens, and if Nintendo's going to continue to do things like this with getting more developers to work on their games. And I'm excited at the prospect of some really great developers taking on a Pokemon game or a Fire Emblem game or I would say Zelda game, but I mean, they kind of already did with Cadence of Hyrule, I think. That's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but that was a skilled set of developers that got to work on a Zelda game, or Hyrule Warriors is another one.
I'd be really curious, and I'm not sure who would say yes, but if anyone like wants to play, I'd be down to like play with some people. If anyone's interested in like trying it out and wants to like play, I'd see if we could make that happen. That could be fun.
I would be interested in that as well. And it can be experienced people or new people. We could set up a little Skype room or Discord room and make a night out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone's interested, just let us know.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Shane.
Oh,
Thank
well,
you
thank
very
you.
much.
Man, I had a great time. I appreciate the invite.
Of course, you're our first technical guest on our like regular episodes.
Well, awesome. You're welcome, everyone.
You break the
Shane, where all can they find you?
Of course, another Zelda podcast, another 6.5 Media podcast. I also write for them, and then I write for an Bosch Rush Network. So you can check out that as well. You can find me on Twitter at Still Saying Shane.
All right, that all sounds really good. Make sure you guys go over to his Twitter at Still Saying Shane and give it a follow and message him all about your Zelda theories and stuff. But
I'd
definitely
love
check
that.
out his show as well. He may have already covered all of them. I have no idea. He has covered everything that could ever be written about Zelda. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely go show him some love. And you can find us at, what is our Twitter, Daniel? Help me out here.
We are at the Turn by Turn Pod on Twitter. I hang out there probably more than I should. So if you message, I'll get back to you. And then we're also on YouTube at the Turn by Turn Podcasts. Where else are we? We're on Instagram. We're in a lot of places.
We're on Instagram. We're on Spotify, I think. We're on Apple Podcasts, wherever podcasts are sold.
Yep.
And that's the same with another Zelda pod as well. You can find it in all these places.
We've got Discord as well.
Let us know what games you want us to cover and talk about. At our Twitter, just message us. That'd be awesome. Or our YouTube. I do check those comments. Thank you guys so much for joining, sticking around to the very end, and I hope you have a great rest of your day or evening, whatever time you're listening to this. You should probably keep focusing on the road as well if you are driving.
Yes, have a swell one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.